Good morning, all. Welcome to another session. In the run-up to the virtual job fair, in association with Media and Entertainment Sector Skill Council and Aptech Limited. Today's session is will be covered. In today's session, we will cover effective communication skills, and we have with us Ms Mala Halder, who is heading the North Division of Industry Connect Alliances and Placements of Aptech Limited. In today's time, communication skill is of paramount importance in our professional arena, be it verbal communication or non-verbal communication. And today, we will listen from her how to cope up with the flaws which we have in communication while we communicate with our peers, our seniors, our clients in our professional arena. With this, I will hand over to Mala so that she can take it forward.
Hi, Mayur.
Hi, Mala.
Am I audible?
Yes, Mala, you're audible.
Okay. Thank you for the generous introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Namaskar to all my students who have joined from East. Satriyakal to all my students who have joined from Punjab. Students who have joined us from down south, Vanakam and Kasakai, Mumbai. I hope all of you are fine at your homes and you've already started working on your resume, right? Remember the session we had on 27th? Right, so I hope you've all started working on the resume which our esteemed speaker had shared, the points which he had shared. Today we have a session on one of the most important parameters, that is communication, and why communication is important not only in in the center level, but also wherever you work, in whichever studio you get placed, why communication is important. So are we ready? Can we start? Great.
Mala, before we start, I would have one advice for all the students.
Yeah.
Students, do not post your questions in the chat box. Please post your questions in the Q&A part so that we can see each of the questions and we can answer them individually. Otherwise, there is overlapping in the chat box. Okay, it would be great if you can post it in the Q&A section. Over to you, Mala.
Thank you. Give me just 2 minutes, students. Just 2 minutes. Is my screen visible, Mayur?
Your screen is visible, Mala.
The presentation is fine. Is it full screen?
It's full screen.
Great. So students, I would request all of you to please attend the session and listen to what all tips and tricks I would be sharing. And if you have any questions, you can write in the question and answer section. My colleague Mayur would be taking the questions. Right. Now, why communication? Now, the simplest answer which I can tell you why communication is, if you have purchased an expensive gift for your friend, for your parents, but then you wrap it with a torn paper, or you don't wrap it, usko aapne ek expensive gift liya, right, but aapne usko ek fate hue paper ke sath wrap kiya, the gift will actually lose its charm. The worth of that expensive product, it will go down. And the same happens with communication skills. You may be a great artist, you may be a great professional, you may be doing exceptionally well in your work area, but if you do not know how to communicate, if you do not know how to present your ideas, trust me, you will get a job, but then it will be difficult for you to reach the pinnacle of success. Because I feel that, as a fresher, when you join an organization, say 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years down the line, you all want to be a team leader, or probably the creative head, or someone will be leading a team. For that, it is important for you to be an effective communicator. Right now, let us first understand what communication is. Most of the students, most of the people feel that communication means speaking in English. That is not correct, right? Communication means, if I am interacting with you, if I am saying something to you, if you're able to understand, that means you are a good communicator. That means I am a good communicator. It does not mean that I have to speak in English to be a good communicator. No. If I am talking in Hindi and you're able to understand, that means I am a good communicator. So communication, it happens between either two people or more than two people, where I am the sender. In this case, I am the sender, where I am talking, I am exchanging ideas with you, I am giving certain message to you, where I can see students are raising their hands. So you are the receivers. You are raising your hands, that means you are understanding what I intend to say. So the communication is complete. अभी अगर मैंने हिंदी में बात किया कि बच्चों आप लोगों को समझ आ रहा है, आप लोगों को समझ आ रहा है, that means I am a good communicator. Okay, irrespective of the language I use. But then, having said that, right, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है you will not talk in English. See students, I would like to highlight, for freshers, it is not mandatory that you have to communicate only in English whenever you appear for the interviews. But then, having said that, see, English is just a language. People learn German, people learn French, right? So it is just a language. What is the harm if you learn English? The problem in our country is, we know where we are lagging, we know what our weak point is, but we don't do anything about that. हम लोग कुछ नहीं करते. And English is no rocket science. When a child is born, if he is born in a Bengali family, right, वो जैसे ही 3 years का होता है, or if a child is born in a Tamil family, the moment he say 3 or 4 years, he'll automatically pick up the language of his parents. Why? A child born in a Bengali family will never learn Punjabi. He'll automatically start speaking Bengali and vice versa. Why? Because he hears that language. The same, we all can communicate in English. I take a lot of sessions where students say कि मैम हमको English नहीं आता. ये गलत है. English सबको आता है. The problem is जो words है, the words are here. It's somewhere at the back of our brains. They don't come out because we don't practice, we don't speak. हमको डर लगता है कि नहीं यार, if we talk in English with our friends, if we talk in English, in the center, people will laugh. Let me give you a reality check. If you don't get a job, you will feel bad. But if your friend gets a job, that pain, that is unbearable. So please, please, don't worry what others think about you. Start communicating in English. Frame simple sentences. My name is Mala. I am a graphic designer. Simple. I am from Aptech. Simple. Okay. So communication, though it does not matter which language you use, but it is always advisable when you are going for any interview, don't speak in your regional or your mother tongue. Okay, English is one universal language which, if you master, or if you can at least talk in that basic English, if you can understand English, you can read mails, if you can understand what your client is asking, it will always give you that brownie point. But then communication is a process where whatever the sender is talking, whatever person A is talking, the other people are able to understand. That is communication, right? I hope I could explain the meaning of communication. Now, if I tell you how are you, what you will say? You will say I am fine, right? If I say hola eres, You will say, "Arey, ye, I think this lockdown has made Mala crazy. What is hola eres?" But hola eres is how are you in Spanish. So I told how are you, but it is in Spanish, which you could not understand. That means I am not a good communicator, right? You guys can raise hands, I'll understand that you are with me. Great, great. I can see hands being raised. Thank you. Okay, so hola eres means how are you, but nobody could understand because हमको Spanish नहीं आती. So that's what communication is. We go to a restaurant and we order butter chicken, but then at the end we crib and complain, यार it was too spicy, हमसे खाया नहीं गया. Did you communicate? उसको बोला था क्या कि spicy नहीं करना, मसाला कम डालना? That is the problem. Communication, which I will explain you as I move forward, it has to be crisp and to the point. So yes, excellent communicators are not born, they are made. Many people say कि यार I'm from a village, I am born in a family जहाँ पे लोगों ने English में बात नहीं की. So what, big deal. आप when you need pocket money, right, we also cook stories and बोलते हैं ना मम्मा को कि मम्मा बुक लेनी है, मम्मा ये करना है, वो करना है. You're communicating. When a child needs water, he has to tell this. वो बोलता है कि मम्मा I need water. So that's communication. So please don't worry if you are not able to interact in English. At least you should know how to communicate, how to present your ideas. बात करना आना चाहिए आपको. Maya, Max, Photoshop बहुत अच्छे से आता है. You're a great artist. But if you are not able to tell this to the studio, you will not be selected. As simple as that. So communication is very important, and especially in today's scenario, you have to communicate, you have to talk. If you actually will sit like a silent spectator, the other person is going to walk away with the offer letter, right? So don't worry if you're from a village, don't worry if you are from a Hindi medium school. It is absolutely fine. It has nothing to do with the background, it has nothing to do with the place you are born. You just have to be clear with your ideas. That's why in all our sessions we always say, be clear in your ideas and stay focused and talk in whichever language you are comfortable with. But yes, English is not a bhoot, or it is not an alien language. Start speaking in English. Trust me, you know dheere dheere English will actually seem easier than Hindi. Now, why communication? I've already told that it helps you, it actually improves your overall personality. If you're able to interact, you will have a better control of the situation. I work with an organization, right? I know the goal of my organization. I now, for example, if I if I talk about virtual job fair, I know what is the objective of the virtual job fair. So this goal has been communicated to me by my boss. So the communication is clear. In the same way, you know uh, what happens that the studio is actually looking for a modeling and texturing artist. You are a graphic designer, you go and sit for the interview, and then you land up being rejected. So the problem is not in your skill, the problem is not in your art, the problem is in communication, right? If you are being interviewed by any company, okay, and the company says that you need to relocate to say XYZ place, and you are not willing to relocate, please tell that clearly. Okay, so effective communication, it actually, you understand that aura. Aura, I would not be able to explain what aura is. Matlab, studios, they call us and say, we need someone with pleasing personality, we need someone with positive energy, we need someone who can actually handle teams. So you understand, so communication will give you that sparkle, it will give you that edge over others, right? Cool. Now, the most students, I hope you're understanding what. Yeah, I can see participants raising hands. Thank you for the acknowledgement, guys. And yes, now I can see the communication is complete because you're giving me feedbacks. Thank you. Okay, now coming down to the types of communication. Zyadatar, most of the times we feel that, since Mala is talking or when we are talking, only that is communication. And that is the biggest mistake we do. Now, communication per se is of 4 types. Verbal communication, which we talk. Non-verbal is something which I'll take a little later, but non-verbal is something which is very important and which is often ignored. Written communication is emails, messages, which I'll take a little later, and visual communication, right? So these are the 4 types of communication, which I'll explain you as I move forward. Now, verbal communication is important, but then, yes, only 7%, what we say, people remember only 7% of that. झटका लगा? Yes, that's the fact. हमको लगता है कि हमने बहुत अच्छे से बात किया. My name is Mala. I am a graphic designer. I am from Aptech. Okay? And if we get rejected, then we think, यार हमने तो ठीक बोला था. हम reject क्यों हुए? Why did you get rejected? The problem is non-verbal communication, body language. Now, if I'm taking your session and if I say, okay, my name is, and I look here and there, अपने arms ऐसे मैं close कर लूं, हाथ ऐसे हिलाऊं, 4 बारी ऐसे बाल करूं, you'll also feel कि is she taking a session or what? That is non-verbal communication, right? So body posture, gestures, when you are going for an interview, I have seen people कि वो कोई जान के नहीं करता, but then जो दरवाजा बंद किया, उसको एकदम धड़ाम से, they close the door with a bang, interviewers observe that. Then some people, they sit like this with crossed arms. That means you are closing the communication. You are not ready to listen to new ideas, right? Then some people have the habit of, say, for example, that's the arm of the chair, they'll sit like this. Okay, they'll slouch. No. So we feel ki we actually, ma'am ne to humko jo practice karaya, we told that, but then why are we rejected? Because of non-verbal communication, which comprises of more than 60% of effective communication, right? So please, students, please also focus on non-verbal communication. Smile. Smile means you don't start laughing, but then अब मैं ऐसा एक सेशन लूं, आपको भी लगेगा कि ना, she has actually fought with her family and she is taking the session. That's the general perception, right? So smile. And student smile is that 5-letter magical word which can actually melt mountains, right? So it is what you don't say that counts. Very important. कई बारी हम बहुत चीजें नहीं बोलते और वो जो हम नहीं बोलते ना, वो बहुत important है. So I will first take non-verbal communication. Mayur, I will take the questions after non-verbal communication, right? Cool. So non-verbal communication, tone, body contact, facial expression. Interviewer ने पूछा, I will only pay you 20,000. Will you work? अब अंदर से गुस्सा आ रहा है, you're angry. So don't do that. Do it later. At least don't do that in front of him. Then eye movement. बार बारी wink करना. Posture. ऐसे बैठना. Then, fidgeting with your hands, aisa karna, shake karna. I remember in the last session which we had on 27th, one of the students asked, ma'am, how can we remove nervousness? How can we be confident? Body posture. Please take care of your body posture. If you do this, that means you're not confident. Be confident. We also don't know a lot of things, but then at least don't show this to the interviewer that you don't know. And you can always say, they will not kill you. You can always say, I don't know this, sir. I'm a student. I will check this and get back to you. Nobody will hang you. It is okay. We all are learning, but then your body language, that posture, appearance, the tone of your voice. Now, for example, if the interviewer says, I will give you 20,000 and you don't agree with him. So you can always say, sir, I feel 20,000 is little less. If you can make it to 25,000, sir, that would be really great. Now, answer number 2. If the interviewer says, okay, I'll give you 20,000, and if you say, no, 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 I don't want to work. No, 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 20,000 is this salary? I'll not work. Now, did you notice the difference in tone? Both the times I said the same thing, that I am not comfortable with 20,000. But then the first one, everyone would appreciate. Tone, when my boss calls me, he never says me anything. Unke tone se, from his tone, I can make out I have done any mistake, or he's angry with me, or he's going to appreciate me. That is tone. So be polite, be diplomatic, be humble. Studio or any company does not like people who are arrogant, who are like overconfident. And yes, students, there is a thin line between being confident and overconfident. Humko confident rehna hai, overconfident nahi rehna. Studio appreciates and respects people who are humble, who are grounded. Okay, so non-verbal communication is something which we ignore, right? Which we do not, humko lagta hai ki it is only what we say that is important. That is not correct. Non-verbal communication is very important, and it is essential that, and maximum communication happens through non-verbal communication. If you ask me, do you want tea? And if I say, I did not say anything. If you ask me, ma'am, are you feeling hungry? And if I say, I did say no, but I did not speak. So that is also a way of communication. When you will, which I'll take later, when you will sit for, say, virtual interviews, right? So, the interviewer will ask you, have you understood what we want to say? So if you say, that means you have understood. So communication also happens through non-verbal communication. So please be very particular about your body language, your posture, sit straight, facial expression, uh, body contact, closeness, and the way you actually present yourself, the way you carry yourself. Mayur, we can take the questions. Then I will move to the next slide.
Yes, Mala.
Yeah.
With this slide which you are showing, there's a question related to this. Like, the question is, if there is any misunderstanding when we are communicating, maybe with an employer, then how to solve that? How can we reach an agreement?
If there's a misunderstanding.
Like in previous slide, you have shown that we have to be silent, and if you are speaking, both has a message. So if you have sent a wrong message by being silent, then how do we rectify that?
Okay, a good question, Mayur. And I feel that there are a lot of times when we don't agree with the interviewer, or probably with our parents, with our faculties, with anyone. But then the best solution to that is talk it out. बात करो. कहते हैं ना कि बड़ी से बड़ी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाता है if you talk. And here non-verbal communication plays a very important role. Please don't let the, lot of times the interviewer will say, no, 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 your work is not good. Don't get angry. Don't say, okay, fine, ma'am, please give my pen drive. No, I want to go back home. Don't do that. It is important to have a control on your emotions. Don't make faces like, we do, no? So if you have in any ways misunderstanding ho gaya hai, you can always say the employer, sir, I did not mean this. I meant that I can work on your project, or whatever is the misunderstanding. Please remember, don't go for any interview with that word interview in your mind. Remember, you are going for a client interaction. You are going to interact with a person who has probably little more experience than you. That's it. Verbal, which I will take it as we move forward. But then if any misunderstanding has happened, talk it out. Baat karo. अपना स्माइल रखो एक फेस पर, हाथ यू कैन कीप लाइक दिस, ऐसा, राइट, हाथ अच्छे से रखो, अच्छे से एक प्लीजिंग पर्सनालिटी के साथ जाओ. आई थिंक ऐसा कोई मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग या ऐसा कोई कम्युनिकेशन गैप नहीं है जो सॉल्व नहीं हो सकता. बट देन यू हैव टू टेक द इनिशिएटिव, एंड एज स्टूडेंट्स यू शुड टेक द इनिशिएटिव एंड sort out any communication, any miscommunication which happens. I hope, Mayur, I could answer the question.
Right. So there is another question related to this. Like you've said that there might be any kind of miscommunication and disagreement. So another student has asked, which is related to salary, which he or she has asked. That is Tarun Gusain. He has asked, like, is it a solution? Like, if you always agree, if there is any miscommunication, if there's an interviewer, as a fresher, should we always agree? Is it a solution?
No. नहीं. तरुण, बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन पूछा बेटा आपने. जरूरी नहीं है कि you have to say a yes to everything. There are many times when my boss says कि no, you have to do this, and I tell this कि no, Shamal, I'll not do this. It is not necessary that I'll agree to whatever he says. I also have a viewpoint, but then Tarun and all the other students, there is a way. If I say no, Shamal, I'll not do this, he will say okay, fine, bye bye, and you also know what will happen, right? So, but if I say no, Shamal, I think we should do it this way, that's the tone of your voice. So now salary. Now if a studio says okay, we'll just pay you 5,000 and you work as an intern, and you will not work as an intern, you are a pass out from Aptech, you're an artist, so you want say 20,000. So you can, now there are two ways. नहीं सर, मेरे को तो करना ही नहीं है सर, मैं मतलब I am like a big artist, I'll not work at 5,000. But if you say no sir, I think you just take me. 5,000 is little less as per my skill set. Okay, I will not talk on salary, but then yes sir, 5,000 is little less. You take me, you pay me a decent salary, and after 1 month, sir, you yourself say that you are an asset to the organization. मना किया ना आपने, 5,000 में अग्री नहीं किया, बट बहुत तरीके से डिप्लोमेटिकली आपने आंसर दिया. सो तरुण, अगर जरूरी नहीं है, and to all the other students, जरूरी नहीं है that you have to say a yes to what the interviewer says, else you will be exploited. Have a viewpoint. It is very important to have an opinion of yours, but how you present your idea, how you, वो कहते हैं ना, डांटो अपना मगर प्यार से, right? So don't agree to everything which the studio says, but then please put your viewpoints in a subtle way, with the proper tone, with the proper choice of words. So I hope, Tarun, I could answer the question.
Great. So I guess, Mala, we will move ahead with the PPT and we'll take the other questions once we move on.
Cool. Thank you. Now, how to improve non-verbal communication? The first thing, someone asked me that, what is that 5-letter magical word which can actually make your life easier? My answer was money. But then it is not money, it is smile. If you smile, so I think even the toughest mountain can move. So smile and show interest. I'm really loving it that students are raising their hands. Haso matlab ha 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 karke nahi hasna, smile, right? So smile, you look good, you all are like rock stars of Aptech Limited. Haso, अच्छा लगेगा. इंटरव्यू के लिए भी जा रहे हो तो हंसो, ऐसा मत जाओ कि कल रात को सेंटर से फोन आया कि इंटरव्यू के लिए जाना है एंड बस किसी तरह से जा रहे हैं. आई एम श्योर रेज्यूमे अब आपका बिल्कुल परफेक्ट बन गया है. अगर आप अपना बॉडी लैंग्वेज थोड़ा सा पॉजिटिव करोगे, थोड़ा सा इंटरेस्ट लोगे चीजों में. नाउ I would also like to mention, most of the times we go for interviews, okay, without checking the website of the studio. Let's be honest, करते हैं, मत करना, right? थोड़ा सा इंटरेस्ट लो. अभी आपका भी, it is all virtual, right? Now we will be having a lot of virtual interviews going forward. Now if the studio is saying something, at least ask questions. Don't sit like a statue. सामने वाला the सामने वाला person will think as if he or she is talking to a wall. Don't do that. So smile and show interest. Yes, maintain eye contact. Now if I take your session like this, मैं तो सब बता रही अगर मैं ऐसे करके आपको सेशन लू बताऊंगी सारा, आप बैठोगे? नहीं बैठोगे. So I am looking at the camera. So that's virtual eye contact. But then when you are going for an interview, at least look at the eye, look, maintain that eye contact, look at the person. Don't look down. And the worst distraction in today's world is this, your mobile phone. After every 5 minutes, a WhatsApp message will come and we just look down to check whose message has come. Don't do that. The world, the sky is not going to fall if you do not check your WhatsApp message for 1 hour. Look at the person. Yes, sir. Okay. Acha. Okay, sir. उसको अच्छा लगेगा कि आप उसकी बात सुन रहे हो. Nod your head to show that you are understanding, to acknowledge his ideas. आपको कैसा लगेगा अगर आप मुझसे बात करो and I look here and there and I start checking messages in my mobile? You'll also feel bad. So the interviewer also feels bad. We don't realize. हमको realize नहीं होता. But these are very, these are the reasons why we get rejected, because these MNCs, they are very particular about this. And it is not only for your interview, it is also when you actually start working in an organization. These things are important and you should take care. You will not grow as the creative head, or you will not reach the pinnacle of success if you do not participate, if you do not show interest. Okay, little lean forward. Yes, sir. Okay. Okay, sir. No, that body language and tone. So tone is very important. And one simple tip which I want to give to all my students to improve their communication: play, play the words in your brain and don't assume. चीजें assume मत करो कि मैंने बोला उसको समझ आ गया. No. Be clear, be concise, and tone of the voice is very important. Very important. Don't be loud. एक छोटा सा interesting सा चीज मेरे एकदम से दिमाग में आया. No, I'll hum a tune. Okay? Na 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 na. Okay? Now, मैंने अपने हिसाब से बिल्कुल अच्छा ट्यून हम किया है. Right? Half of the people have not understood which tune which song I just hummed. Now, I feel, I will assume सबको समझ आ गया. No, the problem is not with you. The problem is with me. I am assuming things. I'll tell you the song later on. But those of you who have not understood this song, don't worry. The problem is not with you. The problem is in me. I am not a good communicator. I was not clear. The information was not complete. Okay. So this is the importance of communication. So the recipient, हम लोग इंटरव्यू में जाके सब कुछ बात करके आते हैं, इंटरव्यूअर को कुछ समझ नहीं आता. हम we start asking the faculty, ma'am, what was the problem? That was the problem. So these are the few ways which you can, by which you can improve your non-verbal communication skill. And in सबका एक ही गुरु मंत्र है, that is confidence. You are the best. आपसे अच्छा कोई नहीं है. बस ये एटीट्यूड लेके इंटरव्यू में बैठो. वो जब भी मेट में बोला था ना करीना ने, मैं अपनी फेवरेट हूँ. दैट्स इट. आप अपने फेवरेट हो, मस्त जाओ. यू आर फ्रॉम वन ऑफ द बेस्ट इंस्टीट्यूट्स. आप इतने अच्छे से पढ़कर आए हो, आपको डरने की कोई जरूरत ही नहीं है. सो प्लीज bring that confidence, stay focused. आप सबसे अच्छे हो. That's it. Just stay focused, smile, nod your head, make that eye contact, and yes. अगर मैं ऐसे बात करूं, I am Mala, people will say कि fine, go, because I was too loud. Now if I say I am Mala, फिर भी समझ नहीं आया. So the tone, a lot of times when your telephonic interviews happen, okay, so आपने तो पूरा बोल दिया, but interviewer को कुछ समझ नहीं आया because you were too soft. Okay, so these are something which you have to really work on. So non-verbal communication, please, again, it is my request, non-verbal communication pe dhyan dijiye. Can I move forward? You guys can raise hands and I will know that. Great. Now, coming down to the next mode of, do we have a question, Mayur, or should
Yes,
I take?
yes, Mala. I guess we should take few questions now.
Okay.
Mala, there's a question from Autoshri Chakraborty. The
Hmm.
question is like, if we do not have any answer to
Hmm.
any specific question,
Hmm.
so how do we manage that situation when we are
Atashri,
communicating physically?
okay, if we do not have answer to a question.
Right.
Okay. Atashri, thanks for the question. If you do not have an answer to the question, say, sir or ma'am, I will get back to you. There is no harm. Okay. But then don't, just beat around the bush. Don't say stories. Don't cook stories because, most of the times when we go for interview, we start cooking stories. हमको पता नहीं है, but ये बताने में हमको शर्म आता है, and we start cooking stories. Don't do that. Don't know, it is okay. Yes sir, I don't know this, probably I'll get back to you. Fine. Don't cook stories. Acha sir, color theory, color theory means वो जो color होता है ना sir, color warm, no. So don't cook stories. Be concise. If you do not know anything, say you don't know anything. Be honest. If you're honest, trust me, even when we send your resume to the studio, we market you as freshers. Studio ko pata hai aap fresher ho, so they don't expect you to know everything. So it is okay, right? Nahi aata, bolo, but jhoot mat bolo. Don't make false statements, and don't just say anything for the sake of it, right? So it is okay if you don't know anything. It's cool. Nobody will kill you.
Great, Mala. I'll take another question very quickly from Aman Roy. Like, if somebody is going for an interview and sometimes there are, panel interviews where there are 2, 3 people together. So how to, keep a balance in the eye contact and how to focus on each of the questions and answer to each of the individual.
Okay. Group discussions, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Question is more than one interviewer. How do we handle that?
Okay. Now, most of the times in most of the MNCs, you will have more than, say, one interviewer asking questions, like group discussion. Now you have to actually strike a balance. Now, for example, I am assuming that 3-4 people are sitting in front of me. So if someone is asking, how are you? Sir, I'm fine. And the moment the second person will ask, so I'll shift my eye contact to the next person. So you have to be quick. वो reflects अपना nervous system, उतना आपको खुद ही brain से signal आएगा, right? So sir, I'm absolutely fine. अच्छा, yes sir. So देखा, if it is like visible or not, but then वो shift आपको करना पड़ेगा. And to be a good communicator, you need to be a good listener. Okay. Answer the question. For example, if say interviewer 1 has asked you a question, please answer him first before you jump to the second question from the second person, right? So you have to maintain that eye contact, to shift your eye contact from person 1 to person B to person C. वो आपको और उतना आपको डरने की जरूरत नहीं है. Your nervous system, your reflexes will do that. But then yes, in group discussion, it is important that you have to actually strike a balance between all the people who are interviewing you, or all the people who are sitting in the room. Okay. So yes, you have to be quick. You have to be quick in understanding the question. If you don't know, sir, sorry, nahi aata, it is okay. But then ऐसा नहीं कि interviewer B ने आपसे question पूछा and you are still looking at interviewer A and answering. Okay. So that you have to decide, and you have to be really quick. So I hope, Mayur, I answered Aman's question.
Right, right. That was great. I will take one more question. This question is directly to you about your views. Chirag Agarwal has written, Madam, sometimes non-verbal communication works better in comparison with verbal communication. What is your opinion on that? Opinion on that?
Absolutely. Chirag, thumbs up for this question. I think yes, that's why I told no. 7%, only 7% is verbal communication. हम लोगों को लगता है कि हम जो बात कर रहे हैं ना वही सिर्फ communication है, वहां पे सारा गड़बड़ हो जाता है. Okay, so non-verbal communication, yes, Chirag, we can communicate through non-verbal communication. If I say you, dude, do you want to go for an interview? And if you say, I have got the answer. Okay, if interviewer say asks you a question, uh, Chirag, do you want to work as a 3D modeler? So if you say no, sir, that's it. Don't start cooking stories ki no sir, I am a graphic designer, so I want to work as a graphic designer, I don't want to work as a modeler. So yes, non-verbal communication. Now for example, if you've gone for an interview and you start doing, it shows you are not confident, you are nervous. आपने कुछ नहीं बोला, but interviewer को समझ आ जाता है कि आप nervous हो. Okay, then you start scratching your head. Okay, you start fiddling with your phone. Pen लिया, pen से ऐसे ऐसे कर रहे हो. It shows you are either nervous or you're overconfident. Okay, so Chirag and ऐसे करके बैठे हैं. That means you are too casual a person. So yes, Chirag, non-verbal communication. कहते हैं ना, हमने जो चीज बोली नहीं दूसरा बंदा समझ जाता है, तो सेम द इंटरव्यूअर और एनी पर्सन फॉर दैट मैटर, योर बॉस, you know, half of the times when I don't want to work, or if I am finding something difficult, without saying a word, I'm talking about, my boss understands कि इसका आज मन नहीं है, fine, she needs a break. So that's the importance of non-verbal communication, and that's why non-verbal communication is so important. बोल के तो हम लोग सब बोलते हैं, लेकिन वो चीजों पे ध्यान रखना चाहिए जो बिना बोले दूसरा समझ जाता है.
Great, Mala.
Can I move forward, and after 2-3 slides we can take a few more questions, right?
Yes, we'll move forward and we'll take the questions afterwards.
Okay, next is verbal communication. Verbal communication is only 7%, but still it is a very important mode of communication. It is either through words, I'm talking to you, that's verbal communication, and either through emails, that's your written communication. Now, आपकी body से your sweat smells. Okay, sometimes our breath smells, blood smells, saliva smells, right? But words are the only things which should be sweet. It should not smell, it should not be harsh, right? So everything smells, but your word should be sweet. What you say, you've said it, you cannot take your words back. So verbal communication, yes, non-verbal is important, but verbal communication is equally important. If you go and tell the studio, sir, I don't want to work with your organization, he will never take you in his entire life, right? That's the importance of verbal communication. Now, for verbal communication, the best tip is kiss. Okay, kiss, not that literal kiss. Okay, keep it simple and short. Perfect. Bus. Be precise, be accurate, be concise, and whatever you want to communicate, just communicate that. That's it. But yes, take care of your words. Now, many a times when we go for interviews, I'll tell you how we write emails. We use slangs. Okay, we use slangs like I've grown quite old, so I don't remember these slangs, but you know what I say, don't use those slangs. You को हम लोग मेल पे लिखते हैं YOU, उसको लिखते हैं एक U, no, alphabet U, उसको slangs बोलते हैं. Don't use slangs when you are going for any interview. Slangs and all these local languages just for your friends, even at the workplace. Never use slangs, and be very particular of what you say. एक बारी बोल दिया, खत्म, तीर निकल गया कमान से, अभी कुछ नहीं हो सकता. So for verbal communication, always remember kiss. Keep it simple and short. उतना बोलो जितना जरूरत है, उससे ज्यादा मत बोलो. You will be either not taken, you'll be not taken seriously, or you will be thrown out of the meeting. So communication through words is called verbal communication, and it is important for us to choose the right word. Okay, can I move forward, guys? I can see a lot of students raising their hands, and I'm really loving it. Thank you. Now, क्लियर वर्बल कम्युनिकेशन कूल. नाउ विजुअल कम्युनिकेशन, ये एक ऐसा कम्युनिकेशन है, हाफ ऑफ द टाइम्स हम लोग इसको ध्यान नहीं देते. हम लोगों को लगता है कि यार बात कर ली, चलो मैम ने बोल दिया, आराम से ऐसे बैठ गए, ठीक है. अब ये विजुअल कम्युनिकेशन क्या होता है? विजुअल कम्युनिकेशन भी होता है जो हमारे आईज, द कम्युनिकेशन, इस कम्युनिकेशन में आर आईज प्ले एन इम्पोर्टेंट रोल. अच्छा, अभी हम लोग सब घर पर है, मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स घर पर है. हैव यू एवर नोटिस्ड कि जो आपका ड्राइंग रूम का, आई एम सिटिंग इन माय लिविंग रूम, जो लिविंग रूम का वॉल कलर होता है, दैट इज ऑलवेज ब्राइट, एंड जो आपका बेडरूम होता है, द वॉल कलर इज ऑलवेज सटल. वाई सोचा है कभी? घर पे ही हो ना, इतना सोचना. और अभी आंसर बता देती हूँ. The reason is even your walls are communicating. If your living room is dull, you will, living room ka wall color, it has to be bright, it has to exude positivity, because that's the room where you actually sit, meet people. So the color is bright. But the walls of your bedroom, they're always light. Why? Because you wind up and you call it a day, you take rest there. So even walls communicate. That's called visual communication. और आप लोग तो सब artist हो. Your graphics, your show reel is actually visual communication. And always remember, जो चीज आप अच्छी चीज एक बारी देख लेते हो ना, वो हमेशा याद रहता है. दैट इज विजुअल कम्युनिकेशन. व्हेन वी गो ऑन लॉन्ग ड्राइव्स, टू से एनी डेस्टिनेशन, आपको कोई बार बार ही बताता है क्या, अच्छा साइड में जाओ, टर्न लेफ्ट, टर्न राइट? नो, you take the help of map, right? So that's visual communication. Graphics, you all make beautiful graphics, that's visual communication. Hoardings, that's visual communication. And yes, students, portfolio, I would not go in that portfolio. The in portfolio starts with P. There is another P which is very important for a portfolio, that's presentation. Most of the times, studios call us and say, Mala, I don't remember the name of the student, no, but that student, who has made a tiger, just give an example. Or that student who has shown a bouncing ball in his animation show reel, please send him. No, then I remember, okay, that was, say, Pratik, just an example. That's the importance of visual communication. Your graphics, and you all are artists, you all will understand. So visual communication is also a very important mode of communication. The hoardings, the advertisements, the designs, you see, that's all visual communication, right? So one humble request to all of you is, you guys are artists, so you have something which is called portfolio link. Please put your portfolio link in your resume, because when, and that has to be impressive, because when I send your resume to the studio, the client checks your portfolio link, and I am not there to explain your portfolio link. If that is not impressive, you will not be called for the second round. So visual communication is communication through graphics. So we have verbal communication, we have non-verbal communication, and we have visual communication, right? All that signs at the metro station, road maps, that's all visual communication. Clear? You can raise your hand. Mayur, over to you for any question.
Mala, related to this visual communication, there's a question like related to, like, if somebody is wearing something, does that send any kind of message? Is there any kind of things which needs to be kept in mind if somebody is wearing certain kind of an attire? It does it matter when somebody is going for a meeting? So if certain kind of color, certain kind of a type of an attire is there, does it send out any kind of message? Does that need to be kept in mind?
Absolutely, absolutely. I will, there's a slide which I will talk on dressing and all, but yes, uh, if dressing is also a form of non-verbal communication, and thank you, Mayur, for taking that question. Dressing is also a form of non-verbal communication. See, our industry is cool. I've never worn formals to my office. You can wear jeans, but then that jeans should not be torn. Mayur, can you please show what t-shirt you are wearing, if you
I
don't
am wearing.
mind?
No, yeah, all right.
Collar neck.
Collared neck.
Now, yes. So you wear t-shirts to interviews. It's okay. But then please don't wear round necks. Yeah, they look too casual. Wear a collar neck t-shirt. And yes, dressing is important. In our industry, there is no hard and fast rule that you have to wear formals, but then uh, wear something in which you feel confident. That's it. Whenever you are stepping out for any work or any interview, just look yourself in the mirror once. Am I looking good? If the answer is yes, you don't have to wear a Zara or a Mango cut top to look good. But just one tip, yeah. We are not Salman Khan or we are not Sushmita Sen, so let's not try to be like them. Okay, so wear something in which you feel comfortable and bang on. So yes, dressing is important. It is a very important form of non-verbal communication. Okay, I'll come down to dressing also a little later, but I hope, Mayur, as of now, I could answer the question.
Yes, absolutely. So we can move on with the PPT.
Cool. So visual communication, verbal communication, and non-verbal communication. Now, Abhi, let us understand the common mistakes which it is just not students, but we do while attending interviews. Now, these are, there's something which is called a hygiene check. Uh, Mayur, can you ask me a question? Mayur?
Yes, Mala, I can ask you a question.
Let's do a mock interview? Yeah, can you just
Right.
ask me a question?
Great.
Anything about yourself or anything?
Yes, Mala, if you could give me a brief about your background so that we
Cool.
can also know about you.
Cool. So, students, Mayur is the person who is taking my interview now. If I say, uh, mm, sir, my name is माला. मैं ना सर एप्टेक से हूँ एंड सर सर एक मिनट मेरे मैसेज आया है ओके ठीक है सर वो एक्चुअली मम्मी का आया था एंड आई एम अ ग्राफिक डिजाइनर नाउ दीज आर द कॉमन मिस्टेक्स मैंने तो बिल्कुल सही बोला क्यों नहीं लेगा मयूर सर मुझे वो इसलिए नहीं लेंगे this is what we call the hygiene check. Don't fiddle. एक बारी बाल अच्छे से सेट कर लो कोई बात नहीं. Don't touch your hair often. 67% of the people, they don't look in the eye of the interviewer. Why do you have to feel nervous? It is just an interview, right? Then too much of gesture is also bad. Mayur sir, I am Mala. Matlab, over expressions, that's also bad. Okay, fidgeting too much, we do cross arms. 21% of the people, this is one common body language mistake we do. So we'll sit like this. Okay, this means sitting with crossed arms means you have put a full stop to the communication. The communication is closed. That's a bad habit. Okay, and yes, 70% of the people, of the employers, of the recruiters, they don't want you to be overly fashionable, too much of makeup and too much of gaudy clothes. Please try to avoid that. So students, you understood. So just Mayur, if you can repeat the question again.
Right. Repeat the previous question or the new one?
Yes, tell me something about yourself.
Right. So Mala, can you just give us a brief about your background?
Okay. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Mala Halder. I am from Aptech. And sir, मैंने graphic designing का course किया है and I want a job in graphic designing. Students, I spoke in Hindi. Cool. Did you understand the difference? Without hile dule, without moving my fingers, I gave the information which I gave in the previous question also, but that in that instance, my body language was not perfect. So that's the difference. Speak in Hindi, and I think tell me something about yourself is one basic question which every interviewer, you go for an experienced job, you go for a fresher job, will ask. And to talk about yourself, you don't need any practice, you don't need any script. It has to be spontaneous. Speak in Hindi, ideally you should talk in English, but अगर नहीं आता हिंदी में बोलो. But simple sentences बोलो. मैं graphic designer हूँ, इतना बोलने में वो. And don't use fillers, please. Don't use fillers. No. Simple sentences. And one thing, one suggestion which I can give to all my students is, please stand in front of the mirror and talk about yourself, give your introduction and record that in your mobile. Do this every day religiously, and trust me, after say a month or after say 15 days, you will actually, your introduction would be perfect and half of the battle is won. Do that, record your voice and listen to that, make some corrections, improvisations. And yes, please talk to your friends in English. Don't hesitate from speaking in English. Let people laugh. Aapko acha job chahiye na, you want to work in MNC, right? So speak in English. And yes, bad posture, please avoid that. And why I that clock means whenever you are going for an interview, please go on time. If an interview is at 9:30, this is also something which is not acceptable. Make sure the metro will run late. You might have a flat tire, so please leave your home a little early and reach the venue at 9:15. Relax, stay calm. Now I've seen students just rushing for the interview. You're sweating and you are panting, and you just sit in front of the interviewer. सांस फूल रहा है, दौड़ के आए हो क्योंकि आप लेट हो गए, मेट्रो लेट चली थी. But then no, please plan your day well. Okay, decide which clothes you would wear. That attitude, that positive attitude, that smile, that confidence, that focus, maintain eye contact. And yes, 38% of people don't smile. अच्छा लगेगा, आपको भी अच्छा लगेगा, आप सुंदर दिखोगे. मैं I think I've been smiling all through the session, and I'm feeling good myself. So smile. So these are common body language mistakes we do, and we feel मैंने तो बिल्कुल सही इंट्रोडक्शन दिया था, क्यों नहीं लिया मयूर सर, दिस इज नॉट डन. That's the reason why the interviewer did not. And when you must have seen the job descriptions, नीचे लिखा होता है confident, pleasing personality, excellent communication skills. Excellent communication skills does not mean you have to speak in English. Excellent communication skills means you should know how to present your ideas, how to talk. If you want to eat biryani, you tell your mom, no mom, I want biryani. She will never know. So that's communication, right? So Mayur, I hope I could answer the question.
Yes, Mala. There is another question. Like it's from the way you are speaking also. So there is a question from one of the students, Mayank Ahuja. Like the way you are using your hands for communication. Is it important if somebody wants to do that also?
Good question, Mayank. No, it is not important. See, आप ऐसा जैसे like if the interviewer asks कि okay Mayank, what all softwares you know, so you can say sir I know Photoshop, I know After Effects, I know, मतलब थोड़ा hand movement. उससे क्या होता है कि you feel confident and the interviewer also thinks you are confident. But बहुत ज्यादा मत कर देना, वो भी लगता है कि कि you're overdoing it, because too much of gestures is bad. But then yes, थोड़ा बहुत hand movement अगर आप रखोगे, so the person who is sitting in front of you will know that you're acknowledging his ideas. For example, because now in the pandemic we are having a lot of virtual interviews. Now if you ask me a question, okay Mala, you are selected, do you want to join, or no, not selected. If the company is giving a presentation, can I sit like this? like a statue, like a dead body. I'm just physically present, mind is somewhere else. So wo thoda galat ho jata hai. So you can ask, okay sir, I have a question, I want to say sir, like you understand. So it is very spontaneous, bahut zyada bhi mat karna, but thoda bahut hand movement se lagta hai ki you are positive and you're understanding what the interviewer is saying, right? So I think Mayank and Mayur, I answered the question.
Right, Mala. We will take one more question, then we'll move on with the PPT. This question is related to the same, gestures and all. It's like Rachit Bhatia has said that he has a tendency of becoming very stiff while going for an interview, and
Okay.
he loses the eye contact. So, and if he forces on in a different posture, which is a leaning posture, he
Hmm.
loses the confidence and he becomes very uncomfortable. So, how to manage this situation?
Okay. Rachit, first of all, hi. I remember your name because you asked a question in the previous session also. Okay. Rachit, ये सारा पता है किस लिए होता है? क्योंकि you go with lot of baggage. I will tell this again. When we have reviews, no, we just go with cool mind. ठीक है, whatever will happen we'll face it. Don't be stiff. वो बिल्कुल, आप पता है क्यों stiff होती हो? आप okay, Rachit, when you are talking to your friend or when you are watching a movie with your friend, do you go stiff? No, you participate because you are not nervous that time. It all happens because you're nervous. Don't do that. Don't be stiff. And you're doing a blunder, Rachit, by not maintaining the eye contact. You will also not like if I look at my mobile and take the session. So the interviewer will also not like. ठीक है? So maintain eye contact. अच्छा, eye contact का ये मतलब ही नहीं कि keep on staring like this. उसको इतना घूरो कि the interviewer he gets embarrassed. So that balance. Too much of gestures is bad, too much of eye contact. So it is important for you to keep that balance. But yes, eye contact is important. You maintain that. And for this, I'm sure you have appeared for a lot of mock interviews. Do this, ask any of your friend, like which Mayur and me we just did. Ask any of your friend, ask your mama papa to ask a question to you and start practicing. Ghar pe hi apna interview do, so that you become confident. And yes, again, all the students who are listening to me, please remember, आप अपने फेवरेट हो, आप सबसे अच्छे हो, आपसे अच्छा कोई नहीं है. हम अब इंटरव्यू में बैठेंगे नवंबर से with a smile, with that confidence. We will maintain eye contact and we will just rock, right? So Rachit, I hope you will now maintain that eye contact and you will not go stiff. यार सबसे अच्छे हो तुम, कोई जरूरत नहीं है stiff होने की, और डरना बिल्कुल नहीं है. Nobody has to fear anyone.
Great, Mala. So I guess we should move on.
Cool. So these are few of the common mistakes which we do. Now, how to improve communication skills? So verbal, visual, non-verbal, it's all clear. Now, how to improve your communication skills? You have to be a good listener. Okay, भगवान ने हमको दो कान दिए हैं, we have to use them. We have to be a good listener. Most of the times, students, you sit for technical test. Most of the times, students, they start writing the test without even reading the instructions. The entire test is over and then you see, oh shit, I was actually supposed to save my folder like Mala underscore modeling. Instructions पढ़ा ही नहीं. Interviewer told you to save your folder as say Rachit underscore texturing. हम तो सुनते ही नहीं है, हो गया गड़बड़. Right? So listening is very important. Please understand what the other person wants to listen. Please understand what the other person is asking you. Be patient. You don't have to catch a flight. Go, whenever you're going for an interview, sit, relax, and listen to what the interviewer actually wants to listen, or interviewer is asking. He asks you some question and you reply some other thing and you are rejected. Okay, so it is very important for you to be a good listener, and the best tip to improve your communication is read English novels. You know, abhi newspapers aa nahi rahe ghar pe, thanks to COVID-19, but then pick up any magazine, okay, any sports magazine, film fair, whatever, okay, and read that loudly, because I told you we all know English, we all know how to communicate, but when we start interacting, no, we don't remember the words. Ki abhi and bolenge ki is bolenge ki am bolenge. You can raise your hands if you're agreeing with me. That's the problem, because भूल जाते हैं हम लोग, सब भूल जाते हैं. पता है कि you know it is, इसके बाद हमेशा ing आता है, but we all forget. So the best solution, the best tip is read English novels, read books, and read that loudly. If you do not know the meaning of any word, please, you all have a good mobile phone, please check the meaning of that word and try to incorporate that word in your speech, right? So read a lot, read loudly, watch English movies. Netflix पे कुछ भी कहीं पे कुछ, you watch English movies, uh, start using those words in your sentences, frame simple sentences. Okay, so be a good listener, read a lot, interact, communicate with people as much as you can, and yes, be confident. You know, there is one, this is confidence is, I think, one makeup accessory which every person on earth should wear. So confidence, if you're not confident, you will never be able to, you'll never be a good communicator. So be confident, be precise, don't beat around the bush. Okay, you should know what you have to communicate. Okay, if you have made a showreel on say you've made a 3D model, so you should know how to explain that model. Most of the times I have seen students, they make such lovely art pieces, but then when the interviewer asks, please explain your work, oh, you're not able to explain your work, then the interviewer thinks ki he has not done his work on his own, the faculty has helped him, which is not the case. This happens because you're not able to present your work in front of the studio. You're not a good communicator. So be clear. I know. Now, if I am taking a session on communication, if all of a sudden I start telling you about resume, you will lose interest. So it is important for you to be clear. You need to choose the right word which actually delivers your message. आज डोमिनोज का एड आता है ना, तो वो पता चलता है कि वो पिज्जा का एड है, right? Aj, when you go to a Nike showroom, no, you see the logo, so you know it's a Nike showroom. Nobody is there to tell you that it's a Nike outlet. So that's communication. Okay, so be clear, be concise, choose simple words, be confident, and be patient. If you're not patient, you will not be a good listener. Okay, so these are few of the tips which will actually help you improve your communication skills, not as a student but also as a professional in your workplace. I'm sure all the 300 plus students who are attending this session will all get a job in the coming months. So when you start working, communication is important. You have to communicate with the client. अभी तो आप सेंटर में बात करते हो. When you actually start working, you have to communicate with your client. You have to understand his requirement. The client wants you to model a horse and you model a donkey. हो गया फिर तो. That's the problem in communication. You have to understand the client. You have to listen to what he says. You have to understand his mails. You have to understand the instructions. You have to, if you have done well, you have to tell this to your boss. You have to communicate. If you become a team leader, which I'm sure all my students will become, okay, in one day, you have to communicate with your team. You have to tell them what they have to do. So communication just not at the center or at the institute. Yes, if you are not able to communicate your doubts to your faculty को भी समझ नहीं आएगा कि आपको कहाँ नहीं समझ आया. So it in every phase of life, in your personal life, in your professional life, communication, you just cannot go away with communication. And yes, again I'll repeat, communication does not mean only speaking in English. Communication means in whichever language you are speaking, the samne wala person is able to understand. But having said that, please please try mastering the English language. It is just a language. आप लोग इतने tough software सीख जाते हो. English is just a language. The only problem is we don't practice. And students, the biggest mistake is not, the biggest mistake is not knowing something. The biggest mistake is not trying. So don't do that, and start working on your communication skills. So these are few of the things which the interviewer is looking for: your listening skill, confidence, friendliness. Don't, you should not look cold. Warmth, there should be some, there should be warmth in your personality. Smile, non-verbal communication. Be short, be precise, and especially interview mein to don't cook stories. Okay, be short, be precise, and friendliness is. And yes, one thing, when you are going for an interview, okay, respect is very important. When you are going for an interview, please wait for the interviewer to extend his hand. Okay, most of the times we go for interviews and we extend our hand first. The other person might not like it, the other person might not feel comfortable, and especially when the interviewer is a female. Okay, etiquette say that the female has to offer her hand first. A male should not offer his hand. Okay, so wait for the interviewer to extend his or her hand for a handshake. Abhi to khair, it is like handshake is something which is like everybody would avoid, but that's the general rule. Wait for the interviewer to ask. The interviewer will not take your interview making you stand. Let the interviewer say ki fine, now you can sit down. No, these are few of the very subtle things, but then they do make a difference. So interview, you guys are such great artists, you guys are such technical experts. Don't make these mistakes which actually costs you a good job, because there are a lot of MNCs are there which will be interviewing you. You will be working with a lot of overseas clients where communication, and yes, overseas clients where to English communication is important. Okay, so again, uh, effective communication, the entire session is based on that. It has to be clear, it has to be accurate, it has to be relevant, it has to be timely. इंटरव्यूअर के सामने बैठे हो, उसी से पूछो, सर व्हाट वुड बी माय पे स्केल. डोंट लीव द इंटरव्यू एंड आस्क द सेंटर कि अरे ओ शिट मैम, आई फॉरगॉट टू आस्क माय सैलरी. इन अ सटल वे, व्हाट वुड बी माय पे स्केल सर. Okay, it should be timely, it should be meaningful and apt, it should be applicable to the situation. Okay, next is email. Students, you're understanding, you can raise your hands. Cool, thank you, thank you. I saw a lot of hands being raised. Now next is email. Okay, email, when you actually Mayur, I'll complete this email and then we'll take the questions. Okay, I am left with 2 or 3 slides and then we'll take the questions at one go.
Yes,
I hope
Mala,
that's
we'll
okay.
do the same. Great.
Okay, cool. So emails. Now, when you start working with any organization, email, you have to interact, you have to send reports. So email is a very important mode of written communication. I see most of the times I receive resumes, there is no subject line. No subject line. Subject line is very important. Any mail without a subject line is considered as trash. कुछ तो subject line होगा, resume, modeling, texturing, resume, graphics, or anything, resume, Mayur Mukherjee, at least. So please ensure that your email has a subject line, and you don't have to write Ramayan in your subject line. Crisp and concise. Okay, second, most of the times I receive resumes and it is written Dera ma'am. It is not written dear ma'am, it is Dera sir, because हम फटाफट टाइप किया, स्पेल चेक करना भूल गए, and dear becomes डेरा. Don't do that. Proofreading is very important. Take a closer look. Read your email when you are applying for any interview. When you will actually start working, you will send a lot of emails to your clients. You will send a lot of emails to your boss, your team. So it is important that you proofread your email before sending it. It's dear ma'am, it's not dera. Second, don't use acronyms, don't use jargons. Like you becomes a you. Okay, how are you? It is ARU. It is not that just that alphabet R. Okay, uh, like dear, some of the people write dear sir slash madam. A lot of WhatsApp joke is coming. I'm sure आप लोगों ने देखा है. What happens when somebody writes dear sir oblique madam? Don't write that. Nobody feels. You just write dear human resource department, dear business development team, dear concerned department. That looks good. Don't write dear sir madam. And yes, compress your attachments. We receive resume in JPG format, and those are so heavy files that वो रिसीव ही नहीं होता, and it वो स्टूडियो को भी रिसीव नहीं होगा. आपको लगता है कि you have actually sent your resume, but studio has not received that because the files are so heavy. So please, resume, which my speaker that day told you, resume should always be in Word format, and please compress your attachments. It is very important. Whenever you're writing an email, there should be no spelling errors. Don't write stories in your emails. If possible, make beautiful points, because when you write in points, it is easier. jaldi maybe ho to aap points bahut jaldi aap पढ़े जाते हैं, right? So these are few of the email etiquette, and one tip which I want to give to all of you, and this is what I have learned from my boss. Whenever you are sending your resume to any studio, whenever you are doing any official communication, of course when you will start working, don't send any important mail on, say, Friday night. Don't send any important mail on a Sunday morning, because by the time when we reach office on Monday, there are many more emails which would be coming, and your mail, it actually goes unread. Don't send any email before Diwali, because for Diwali ka there would be 5-6 holidays, and your mail actually it gets lost, right? When you are working, don't send any mail say after 8 p.m. Nobody would read that. Okay, so these are few things. Send any, if you want to send your resume, if you want to send your resume to your center also, please send it on a Monday morning. There is a time for that. So that's email etiquettes. And yes, written communication also includes communication through WhatsApp messages. Now, since we are in the pandemic, uh, uh, students who are working, or students who are doing their course through online medium, we have a lot of communication which is happening through WhatsApp group. So don't send any message to your seniors. Don't send any message to your office people whenever you will join, say, at 10 o'clock at the night. People will not appreciate it. Okay, don't write any personal thing in the office WhatsApp group. A lot of students, we have placed a lot of students in the pandemic, and they are all working from home. They're all working virtually, and all the communication is being done through WhatsApp group. So that WhatsApp group is only for official communication, not for personal information. Don't start wishing happy Diwali, happy Dashera. No, separately send messages. So that office communication strictly has to be for office communication only. Messages, look at the time while sending your message. Okay, I've seen students sending show reels through WhatsApp to the client. Don't do that. Mail likho acha sa and send it to the studio. Studio will also feel good. Studio ko lagega कि यार the person is professional. Okay, so email, when you I get feedback from the studios ki usko na mail likhna nahi aata. यही reasons है studios bolte hai. So I hope now any email which you write to us or you'll write to the studio, it will be as per the format. Okay, so again, subject line is important. It is dear, not dera. Spell check कर लेना. Attachment, ज्यादा attachments मत डालना कि फाइल इतनी heavy हो गई कि बस वो पहुंची ही नहीं. Okay, and don't use jargons in your official emails. Okay, use bullet points. And a lot of students and a lot of people do pura mail caps mein likh dete. They write the entire mail in caps and then they will highlight it. Then wo usko red font red color mein karte hain. The font is like some weird font. No, Arial 12 and in normal black. Red means kuch to danger ka apne kar diya. So don't use caps unnecessarily. Okay, normal font, use that normal font. I use Arial and 12 and I think the mail looks good. Clear? Can I move forward? Cool. I can see a lot of students raising their hands. So thank you guys for the acknowledgement. Next is your dressing, which of course is a very important form of communication. One thing is, whatever you are wearing, it should look neat and ironed. Okay, we will always give you, even if you are attending virtual interview. Okay, don't just sit for it. It is my request to all my students, who are attending classes online. Please don't attend your classes, online classes, in your pajama or night suit. Don't do that. Take your bath. Okay, and attend your classes as if you are sitting in the center. You will feel good, you will feel positive. Okay, so whenever you are going for an interview, physical, online, whatever, your clothes should be clean, they should be ironed, and you should feel comfortable. Don't wear too tight clothes and your torn jeans. No. Okay, so you feel confident when you wear good clothes. So that's again a basic funda. So your clothes should be clean, your hair should be, you should look groomed. Okay, and grooming has nothing to do with going to a salon or a parlor before the interview. No, ideally you should have a white shirt. Okay, whenever I call it an interview shirt. I when I take sessions with my students, I say wear your interview shirt. So keep an interview shirt white color ka. I know white gets dirty, so usko hamesha mat pehno. Keep a white shirt with you. Wear it whenever you're going for an interview. Make sure it is clean, your hair is properly combed, you're groomed. Boys, shave. If you don't want to shave before going for an interview, at least your facial hair should be groomed. These are very small things, but yes, they do make a difference. Don't wear a overpowering perfume, jiska, with a very strong fragrance. Okay, if you smoke, it is okay, but then don't smoke say 15 minutes before going for the interview, because generally these interviews happen in closed cabins and the other person might not feel comfortable. Okay, so wear t-shirts, wear jeans, it's okay, but then look clean, look comfortable, look well groomed. Nails should be clean, and these are basic hygiene. Girls, you can keep your hair open, but if you find it difficult to manage it, tie it. And you should look presentable. There's something which is called aura, like Amitabh Bachchan. He doesn't do movies now, but when he comes on screen, no, ek bari hum dekh ke zarur hai. That's the aura that man carries. you know uh, we if Shah Rukh Khan is standing in front of you, you'll just turn your heads and look at him. That's the aura the man carries. He doesn't do, his movies are flop now, but that's the aura he carries. So that's the aura which I expect from all my students, that attitude, that positive vibe. And yes, shoes. कहते हैं ना, जूतों से when you actually observe a person, you first look at his or her shoes. So shoes should be cleaned, shoes should be polished. I know we travel by metro where people will stand on your head. So that's why we always say reach 15 minutes before the interview or actual interview time, so that you have time to go to the washroom, clean your shoes, take a breath, drink water, keep a bottle in your bag, and you're settled. Okay, so shoes should be clean, shoes should be polished. right? बहुत छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं, but then these things, interviewer observe करते हैं, interviewers feel that yes, technical 19-20 चलता है. Interviewer knows that you are fresher, and when you will be on board, you'll receive a training, say for 3 months, you learn work. But attitude is something which you have to develop. Nobody can change. I cannot change your attitude. You have to change that. So please do these little things. Please focus on these little things, and trust me, not only you will feel confident, you will actually fare well in all your interviews. Not only interviews, but then when you start working, trust me, you will be noticed. कहते हैं ना, you don't have to become one single person of that crowd. Okay, so you have to be the best. So भीड़ का हिस्सा नहीं बनना. uh, Thousand of people will sit for one interview. Thousand of people will sit for 20 positions. You understand the competition. So it is just not the technical skills, but these soft skills which also matter. You have to be like, dekh ke acha lage. And we all are human. If I am like shabbily dressed and uh, I'm not presentable, you'll also not like listening to me. That's human. Okay, so we have to bear with that. ठीक है. And yes, मुझे कहने में बहुत खराब लग रहा है, but that's the fact. When we are actually going for an interview, we are selling ourselves. वो those there was a dialogue in that movie चक दे, that वो 70 मिनट, तो वो 70 मिनट, so you have to prove yourself in that 70 minutes. So you have to be a good communicator. You have to express your ideas well. You have to present your work well. You have to have that pleasing personality. Take care of your non-verbal communication. Be neatly dressed. Be confident. uh, be just like an awesome version of yourself. That's it. Any interview now or 5 years down the line, I really want that all my 300 students say after 5 years down the line, you all could be creative heads and calling me, ki, ma'am, we have a requirement, please send us students. And trust me, you'll remember this session of ours, that yes, we were told. And trust me, these tips will definitely make a difference in your life, not only professionally, but personally also. And yes, that is I called the new normal 2020. Okay, we have to be new normal to adjust to the new normal situation. So now a lot of interviews would be through video chats, phone calls, messages, email, Facebook, LinkedIn. I request all my students to have a profile on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an important tool of communication. Okay, so upload your work in LinkedIn, upload your work in Facebook. And now when the interviews are all happening virtually, so you really need to, there should be no, which Uma ma'am shared in the last session, there should be no background noise. There should be light. There should be enough light which is, at least you are visible. पीछे से अगर कुछ दरवाजा है उसको ढक दो, छोटी छोटी चीजें. बट देन ये करना पड़ेगा बिकॉज वर्चुअल है. ओके, ऐसा नहीं कि आप बिल्कुल अंधेरे में बैठे हो एंड इंटरव्यू इज नॉट एबल टू सी यू. एक्नॉलेज. ओके, यू आस्क मी अ क्वेश्चन. ओके मैम, आर यू फाइन? आई सेड यस यस आई एम फाइन. तो अच्छा लगेगा आपको भी, बिकॉज अभी मोस्टली इंटरव्यू सारे वर्चुअल है. सो यू नीड टू कैरी योर सेल्फ ऑल द मोर in a very mature way. Okay, there should be no background noise, there should be no distraction. It should not be like, people are running here and there and you're sitting for the virtual interview. Tell your mom to cook a little later, because most of the times wo pressure cooker ki seeti sunai deti hai. So these are few of the things which you should keep in mind in the new normal interview scenario of 2020. And yes, I would request all my students, feedbacks are very important. So please upload your work in the social networking sites, Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta, because you never know which studio, HR or studio, and it has happened. There's a studio called Splat Studio. That person has called me and she has told that I saw his work in Facebook. Can you please send that person for interview? So Please upload your work on Facebook. Let the comments come. Even if if there are 10 comments, 5 comments would be worthless. There would be 5 comments which will actually make a difference. And yes, you are successful. Critics से मत डरो. अगर कोई बुरा comment भी आता है, don't lose hope, because आपको अगर critics आपके हैं, that means you are successful. Okay, and be very careful of what you write in your social networking sites, because nowadays studios do a lot of background check on these social networking sites, right? So don't write any political statement or anything which might look offensive. Okay, a lot of times it has happened that student has been selected. This is what is written communication. Student has been selected, okay, but then the offer letter got revoked because of the background verification through social networking sites. Okay, so please be careful. Chats, uh, uh, wait, be patient. If the HR has told you that he or she will give you a call, say day after tomorrow, if he or she has not given you a call day after tomorrow, please wait. Don't start harassing or don't start sending bulk messages to her. Okay, wait. If you're selected, you will definitely get a call, right? Don't send bulk mails ki ma'am, what is my feedback, what is my feedback, what is my feedback. The other person will get irritated. So that's the new normal 2020. So whenever you are appearing for any interview online, because that's the new normal, that confidence, that body language, wear a nice shirt, because webcam on karna hai. Aisa nahi hai, whenever you're sitting for an interview, don't assume that you will be on, say, mute, or you can switch off your video. The interviewer will like if you switch on your camera. So wear a nice dress, comb your hair, be confident, and yes, you are ready to conquer the world. So that is what communication is. So, verbal communication, please know what you are speaking, measure your words, अच्छे से बात करो, confidence के साथ बात करो, voice shaky नहीं होना चाहिए, tone, your dress, shoes should be polished, because shoes actually define your personality. Okay, shoes should be polished, hand movements, gestures, आपका जो portfolio है, that is also a form of communication. That is also communicating that you are a good artist. So portfolio अच्छे से बनाओ, portfolio link अपने showreel पे डालिए, and look confident, effectively communicate. And yes, I want to see all my students being the creative heads of the top studios. So students, I really hope that you could learn something from this session, and I'm sure you would be implementing all of this in the interviews, in the forthcoming interviews, and just not the interviews, when you actually start working. Over to you, Mayur, for the questions.
Yes, Mala, we have quite a few questions which we need to take very quickly.
Yeah.
There's a question from Chirag. He has asked this a very long time back. The question was related to the visual communication. Personal visual communication as compared to the other modes of communication. How important is it in comparison with the other modes of communication?
It is very important. It is very important, Chirag. Visual communication is very important, because if I tell you what, if I don't have anything with me, if I just a second, I will just a second, Chirag, I will show you something. Yeah, so visual. Now if I this is my daughter's racket, no, so it has this what do you call it, it is an image on it. Now you will always remember this image. वो याद रहेगा कि जो हमारा communication का session हुआ था ना, उधर एक मैम ने हमको एक ये बैट दिखाया था, and there was this sticker on it, right? So that's visual communication. आपको याद रहता है, what you see you will always remember. आप शायद मेरा सेशन भूल जाओगे, ओके, बट आपको ये याद रहेगा कि मैम ने एंड में ना एक ये बैट दिखाया था. सो दैट्स विजुअल कम्युनिकेशन. सो विजुअल कम्युनिकेशन इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट मोड ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन, एंड ट्रस्ट मी, Chirag, and all the students, you have to strike a balance. ऐसा नहीं है कि visual के चक्कर में you forget verbal, verbal के चक्कर में you forget non-verbal. So it has to be a healthy mix, healthy balance of all the modes of communication. But yes, visual communication is important. When you go for, आप कई बारी होता है, when students go for the interview, they come to us and say, ma'am, we don't want to work in that organization. We didn't feel good, you know, वहाँ आपका बहुत छोटा सेटअप है, होता है ना बहुत बार. That's visual communication, okay, which you see through eyes. So students, both the modes, all the types of communication are important. You have to actually strike a healthy balance. Yes, Mayur, next question.
Yes, next question is from Manish. Manish has a very funny question. Like, he has asked that we will not be giving interviews over and over again. So, like, if you have given an interview and we have cleared the interview, and then what? How do we manage to keep ourselves, like, you know, these skills which are required, the communication skills which are required to clear an interview? How do we keep ourselves updated with that? Maybe after a certain point of time, maybe after 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, we'll give another interview. Then by that time, we might forget. How do we keep that?
Okay, Manish, I loved your question. अभी Photoshop अगर एक हफ्ता नहीं करोगे ना, you'll forget Photoshop. You may be a very good designer, you'll forget Photoshop. ठीक है? So बात आपको करना पड़ेगा. That's why I always tell, बात करो. अभी आपका एक इंटरव्यू चलो जैसे तैसे आपने क्लियर कर लिया, but then if you get selected in any studio or any organization for that matter, don't just sit at one corner, because we do not make computer operators, we make artists, and artists communicate through their sketches, through their art, through ideas, verbal, anything. Talk, band mat karo, don't stop reading. I mean, reading is, trust me, it is a wonderful habit, and I've developed that, and it has actually helped me. So read, keep on reading. Abhi ek bari biryani bana liya to uska recipe yaad rehta hai, right? Because वो बनाते हैं हम बार बारी. So read, be a good listener, baat karo, communicate, talk to people around, talk to your friends, talk to your mother, talk to your father, talk to your faculties, talk to your colleagues. You don't have to forget that. But yes, if you don't communicate, if you don't use English in your communication, obviously you will forget. So it has to be an ongoing process. ऐसा नहीं कि session आज हुआ, so 3 days you are like, yes, on your toes, and the 4th day it is all like it goes over the top, right? So it has to be an ongoing process. Harish, I think the name was Manish.
Right, Mala. There is another question from Chandresh. Chandresh is asking, like, if we have half knowledge or half information about any question, is it advisable to answer that question if we do not have the full knowledge about that?
चंद्रेश, इसका बेस्ट है कि हाँ, हाफ अगर इंफॉर्मेशन है, आप बोल सकते हो स्टूडियो को कि सर मैं ग्राफिक्स का एक एग्जांपल देती हूँ कि सर हाँ, आई नो अबाउट वार्म कलर्स बट कूल कलर्स नो सर, आई हैव फॉरगॉटन, सो आई विल जस्ट गेट बैक टू यू. चलेगा. मतलब the only mantra is be confident and be honest. That's it. झूठ मत बोलो. ओके अगर हाफ इंफॉर्मेशन है, बोलो कि हाँ सर मुझे इतना पता है, दैट्स इट. बाकी आई विल चेक विद माय मेंटर, आई विल चेक विद माय फैकल्टी एंड आई विल गेट बैक टू यू. So yes, half of the information, if you are sure about that. Agar uska bhi you don't have the surety that that is correct, don't say at all, say I'll get back to you. So if you are confident about that half of the information you have, you can say. If you're not confident, better to say, sir, I will get back to you.
We'll take one final question. This question is regarding, like, the points which you had covered in the beginning. Like, when we are starting an interview, is it okay if we take the interview in a very casual level, in a casual manner level, with the interviewer?
Casual level, okay.
Is being very frank with the interviewer from ourselves?
No. I will give you an example. There was one studio by the name of Torsid International, and they had come for an international placements, because we are also into international placements now. The HR lady, she was very cool, so she asked the students, like, do you watch movies? And the answer obviously was yes by one student. Yes ma'am, I watch movies. Ideally you should stop. But if you start say, no ma'am, I watch romantic movies, John Abraham is my favorite actor and I really love it, that goes a little over the top. So बहुत ज़्यादा आपको friendliness, that's why I will always say it is important for you to know what your limit is. Matlab, don't do things which are over the top. So don't start like romance. Don't be too frank. Don't be hostile. Be friendly, but don't be, because after all he's your boss. He'll be your would-be boss. After all he's your faculty. After all he's your interviewer. So don't be too frank. Don't be too pally with him. But then, uh, you know, you have to break the ice. वो जब तक you will not break the ice, you will not feel comfortable. अब ऐसा भी नहीं कि बिल्कुल ही serious होके yes sir, no sir, yes sir, वो इतना भी नहीं. Smile, आप जब smile करोगे ना, तो the ice, you actually break the ice between your interviewer. But then don't be too casual. Let it strike a healthy balance between being too casual and being too hostile.
Great, Mala.
Any other question, Mayur? You can take one or two questions if there
There
are
is one
questions.
question which is a bit funny, but still I'll take that question. You had commented on the color of the shirt. One of the student has asked if you could comment on the color of the pants, trousers rather.
Trouser. Okay. Trouser. You can wear black. You can wear blue. Don't wear a red trouser to work. वो कोई नहीं पहनेगा. Govinda can wear, but we cannot wear. And I wear jeans. So jeans, blue, black. The basic solid colors. And shirt. It is just not white shirt. It can be white. It can be blue. Any light color shirt in which you look comfortable. That's it. उसका कोई ऐसा नहीं है जिसमें आप अच्छे लगो. आप अगर रेड पैंट्स पे भी अच्छे लगते हो तो आप चलो पहन लो, कोई बात नहीं. बट देन यू शुड फील कंफर्टेबल. ऐसा कुछ पर्टिकुलर कोई ड्रेस कोड या कोई कलर नहीं है.
Great. Again, Chirag again has a question, which is great. Chirag's question is like, what is the relationship between eye contact and facial expression? Like, can you give in details?
Okay, eye contact is again, if I am answering your question, so that's eye contact, and facial expression is if you're asking some question and if I'm not that comfortable, so I'll say like that's facial expression. So there's a difference between eye contact and facial expression. Those two are different.
Can you spare a few seconds for you had explained like fidgeting and hand movement. Can you explain how fidgeting can be stopped, or how can somebody control if somebody is
it all if you are nervous, it will happen. If you are confident, it will not happen. So if you just don't be nervous, be confident, nothing will happen. Your body posture will also be perfect. Your words will also come automatically. It all happens because you go nervous at the time of interview.
Great. So in that case, I guess all these points need to be kept in mind, be it physical face-to-face interview or a virtual interview, right?
Yes.
Great. I guess we have covered most of the questions.
Thank you so much, students, for being a lovely audience, and thank you for all the questions. And yes, thank you for raising the hands. I really loved it. I felt that you are acknowledging and the communication was complete. And yes, that tune was Mera Juta Hai Japani, which I hummed. So all of you who have actually guessed it correct, please buy a chocolate and have it on my behalf.
Great.
So thank you so much, students. Take care. Thank you, MESC, for this lovely session. And yes, we have a lot of interviews in the